Hello, chat. We are back. It is Titan Talk Monday here.
Yeah.
Day before big update going live tomorrow.
Yeah, we have Tsukuyomi release. Obviously, really, really big stuff. We have some good balance coming into it as well. And then, yeah, just neat stuff all around.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff that we would have talked about on Friday, but
Yeah.
the entire studio was sick.
And not just like it was Silk Song, so everyone was sick playing.
Legit sick.
Like a plague actually struck the office.
And I think it was like a couple different things because some people had like more of like a stomach flu-y thing.
Yeah.
Some people had more of like a congestion, feeling awful kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was more in the latter camp. I know India was just like super out with the stomach flu.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit rough. I think it was
very lonely in the office on Friday. I was actually.
Oh, you were actually still okay?
Yeah.
Kabir survived too.
Yeah.
He wasn't sick, but yeah, a lot of the office was sick last week. So sorry we had to cancel Titan Talk on Friday.
And we didn't have Monday either, so that was really weird last week.
Yeah, it was a weird week. But we are back and we're gonna keep on rolling with some exciting Titan Talk all week with patch coming out tomorrow. We're gonna run through balance and take a look at a couple things in game that we didn't get a chance to look at on Wednesday because they weren't ready last time. And then tomorrow we'll kind of recap how the patch is going and any immediate changes that we'll be making and stuff. So, so yeah, exciting week. I was not pretending to be sick for Silk Song chat. You don't believe me. I still haven't played Silk Song. I was sick. And then like over the weekend, I had stuff to do with my family and I just didn't have time. So.
That's like actually the worst type of sickness is like, there's this level of sickness where it's like, okay, I'm sick, I feel bad, but at least I can like do things.
Yeah.
And then there's another level of sick. Like I've logged into games like when I'm sick, started playing for like 10 minutes and when I'm just like nauseous looking at the screen. Like I actually can't even do this.
About the only kind of gaming that like some people are better sick gamers than others. When I'm sick, the only thing I want to do is just like grind some mindless quests in an MMO where I'm just not thinking. I'm just following the instructions. I'm killing 10 orcs. I'm returning the quest. You know, that's about it. Yeah. But anyway, we're all better. Well, mostly better. I don't know if Uniman's better because he doesn't work on Mondays, so I haven't talked to him. But hopefully everybody's better.
Yep.
And now let's take a look at the actual patch notes, which are not live on the website yet because everyone was sick and it's just getting back in this morning. I'll get these actually on the website later today. Apologies, chat. But we can walk through it all today. So let me find the right button here on let's see. And this is OB18. The God of the Moon update.
Yep.
We're going to be kind of moving towards calling updates more by the God of the Moon update part and less of the OB18 part publicly. Like we'll still have like the update number on there, but a lot of people just kind of don't understand what we're doing with our open beta process. Yeah. And they're like, open beta 18, you're on your 18th open beta weekend. And we're like, no, that's not really what we're doing here. So, hide cameras for reading purposes. Okay, fine. You don't need to see us. Let's walk through what's coming up in this God of the Moon update tomorrow. First off, we have Tsukuyomi. How's he been looking so far on PTS?
Yeah, so people played him. Overall, really good feedback. We got feedback that he felt really smooth, felt really solid, did all the things we were supposed to. And that was even without a lot of stuff that we knew we still needed to get. So I know VFX got a lot of things over that time. I've done a few fixes this morning. It was funny because we actually did our final build and then Final K sent me a list of like, here's a few things I found. I'm like, you're like literally 12 minutes after we hit the final build button, but we had to do another build. So we're actually going to get those things in. So just lots of small things, nothing really major. I think the only big note is he looked really strong on PTS. As fun as it would be to redo his release from SMITE 1 where he was really, really, really overpowered, we are going to do a preemptive nerf and it's actually to the int side of things. Okay. So the two nerfs are the Kusarigama when you have more int. That gives like 30% bonus damage to the final swing, both in scaling and the base. That's been reduced to 20%. And then the Mangetsu range attacks, the kind of white silver range attacks, those have really high int scaling. That was 0.75. 75%. That's now going to go down to 65%. Okay. So it won't kill the playstyle. It'll still probably be pretty strong, but like let's just preemptively take the edge off if people are identifying that felt strong on PTS.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit too strong. And then coming on the 12th of September, we will have an aspect coming for Tsukuyomi as well, which leans more into this kind of ranged poke, mid-laney, solo laney maybe play style, less of the jungle play style.
Yeah, the big difference is you don't get the Shingetsu range attacks, you don't get the kind of black-purple ones, they only get the white-silver ones. And your ult does a big burst on your targets that you don't dash to them repeatedly. And then the key thing is you return back to your casting location. So you can actually use it as like effective ranged poke.
which is interesting to see how players will enjoy that when it comes out on the 12th of September, which I believe should be Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and people are asking, he is physical damage.
Yes.
But he's a hybrid scaler.
Yes. And then we do have some new Wandering Market Travelers coming in this patch. We have the Survivor Uller, which includes the Prisms Fangslayer, Corpse Caller, and Azchuck Killigan. We have the Vampirus, the Lady Vampire Soul.
I think we decided it was Vampirus.
Which comes with the Moonlight Mistress, Blood Rose, and Ultraviolet prisms. I will also note that these do both have pumpkins inside of them, which ties into the new Reaping event. And if you collect 3 pumpkins, you'll get a Princess Bari skin, which is pretty cool. It replaces her bell with a jack-o'-lantern. And then there's further rewards for collecting more pumpkins as this event continues over the next few updates. And
so you could get that this patch, or you could wait for future travelers.
Yep. We have new things in the supporter store, which I'm going to go in game to show us here. We have some new name flares. So we have a new set of colors, just base colors, and we have a new set of animated colors. I'm not sure that these are, I believe that these are final, or at least final intent for what I can show off today, but potentially not. So I'm going to go back to us real quick so I don't spoil anything. And then I'm going to switch to the in-game view.
It showed damage type. That's why people were confused on the Tsukuyomi. They showed damage type physical and magical. He is only physical.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to fix that before I post those live. Okay, I'm going to go back to the laptop here. And this is in dev, so don't be confused that I'm only level 24. I play the game more than that. So in dev here, we have, these are the non-animated colors that will come as part of the name flare bundle. So we have a kind of pink color. We have this very seasonal orange sweep of a color.
Very fall.
We have some little orange, or excuse me, colors are not my best thing. Little green pumpkins. We have the striped green and orange. We have little ghosties on a purple background. We have the orange and yellow, the purple and green, and candy corn. So those are the non-animated ones. And then we also have animated ones. So we have a couple different takes on more of like a seasonal version of the kind of sine wave that we did before, but with an additional section in the center. So this is kind of a purpley orange. We have this very fall-y color palette here, very autumnal. We have this kind of ghosty little sine wave thing.
I like that one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one, I think if you like it, you're going to like it. If you're a candy corn hater, you might not enjoy this one. We have the moving ghosts flying through your name. And then we have some other, this is kind of a new animation style for the names for us, where they kind of have this.
It's like panning, like swapping.
Yeah, and it's kind of got like a little bit of a texture to it as it swaps through. We have this. Oh, I didn't actually switch. And then we've got the pink and orange. And then lastly, we've got the little pumpkins flying through your name. So, these are these name flares are something that we introduced, a while back as a way for, people who want to support development, and contribute that way. People were asking us to do something like this for a while. So we introduced the idea of these a while back. They've been pretty good sellers for us. So we've introduced a new set seasonally every once in a while. We had a couple for Independence Day. We have a couple for Halloween here. And if you like them, pick them up, have fun with them.
There's one that like the wave that was like it was kind of the lighter orange and then the dark orange. I was talking to my wife about like a car style.
Yeah.
Where like it was like, it's like the deep brown and then it has 3 stripes across it. One of like a really deep orange, one of like a almost yellowy, then one that goes like very like pale white tan.
Okay.
And like that was like a style of car that is like, I think actually is like the perfect combination of things that I would never ever actually want, but I can kind of appreciate the aesthetic of.
Yes.
That's what that one reminds me of. Sorry, a little tangent, but it was like a very recent discussion I was having with my wife.
That's awesome. Cool. I'm gonna go back to the patch notes. And okay, so we have I talked through the name colors, which I wasn't able to show on Wednesday. We do have Guiding Light Ganesha, which we showed last Wednesday. I talked a little bit about this reaping event already, but if you collect pumpkins, you will get a bunch of rewards. Princess Bari's Spooky Oracle is the first one, which you will be able to get this update. The one of the later updates is the Slaughterhouse Chalk skin with a bunch of really cool prisms that we're working on right now, but you can't quite get that yet, so we aren't showing that off.
I like how spoopy is a typo.
Yes, apparently it's a typo, but and you will be able to get these 3 things, I believe, absolutely free just by doing some quests in the event, this update. So be sure to do the quests and get your Spoopy Jump Stamp, your Jack-o'-lantern badge, and your Candy Corn Ward skin for free. And for people who are asking about specific Halloween skins, the Reaping event's going to go on for a few patches, so there are more Halloween-y skins that will be coming as part of this. I can't say whether or not your favorite Halloween skin will come because there's a lot of them in Smite's history, but there are more that are coming. And then we do have some balance and gameplay updates.
Yep.
We did talk about these ones on the last show, but maybe we're talking about it a little bit here just because it is more of a balance thing. We have in Conquest, the Fire Imps are now going to be considered bosses. The goal of this change was to make these more approachable for solo laners and less required by the jungler. And we have decreased the max health from 1200 to 700. We've decreased the base physical protections from 24 to 18. The base physical power, base protections from 26 to 22. The base XP reward from 80 to 70, and the base gold reward from 50 to 40. Tell us what this means.
Yeah, so really briefly, we intended the Fire Imps to be a thing for solo laners to really contest over. It ended up being that they were actually kind of hard enough that you really need the jungler there to do it, and often the jungler could just do it on their own. So it didn't really feel like it was something that the solo laners really got access to. So we essentially nerfed it so it's more approachable for solo laners, and junglers can still come over and contest it, especially with their solo laner or on their own. They just previously had the jungle starter that made them really, really nuke it down. So that's why they're considered bosses now. Is that means that those starters don't affect bosses in the early game before you actually get it all the way upgraded. So this just means it's more for solo laners to be able to approach. Junglers can still do what they were doing before, and then we've adjusted some of the stats and rewards just to compensate for that. Along with that, we did a few other things that are going to change how the solo laner interacts, so they have other options as well. And then we also did a jungle monster adjustment just so that people can position monsters appropriately.
Awesome. And then
someone did ask a question, and I need to go double check this, but the idea is that Devos is supposed to only get those bonus stacks from killing bosses when it's evolved. So if it doesn't do that, I will go and fix that before it goes live.
Okay.
But that was the intent of this changes. Yeah, if you were to get Devos and rush it stacked really fast and then kill these things, yeah, you get some extra value out of it. But by the time that those Fire Imps are even on the map and still valid, it's going to be less. It's not intended that you're just going to be able to kill one of these and immediately stack up your Devos as a soul laner.
Yeah, because Fire Giant spawns 15 minutes, right? So,
yes, 15 minutes.
So you're only going to get Fire Giants or Fire Imps until the Fire Giant spawns.
Yeah, I think I did the rough math with Flare, and it's like you probably get like, if you're really optimal, you might get 2 respawns of this. And that also assumes that you're controlling the lane enough to be able to also just get these things.
Yeah. Awesome. And did you talk about the lane minion proxy protection? Sorry, I was reading chat.
I briefly mentioned it. That's the other thing for solo laners is we want to also just give solo laners flexibility of how they want to leverage their lead. One way is Fire Imps. The other way would be that you can actually proxy to go kill the wave faster, which puts extra pressure on your laner, and it frees you up to go potentially rotate to mid. The protection just kind of was essentially there to mitigate the proxying the first wave, second, third wave, but it lasted for a long time, and so now we've just reduced it out so it's only after 5 minutes.
Awesome. God balance.
Yeah, so this is the first time we're talking about God balance.
Yeah, so this should be all new to
Yes.
chat. And the first thing we have on this list here is for Ares, a fix to his ultimate No Escape, where targets who were displacement immune were having it canceled and being pulled instead.
Yes. So essentially what it does is it silences you while you're being pulled, but the silence was happening first, so it would actually cancel your displacement immunity and therefore pull you. If you're displacement immune, you're not supposed to be pulled by No Escape.
Okay.
So this is a fix.
All right. Well, that's good.
And I think there's also some knock-ons about displacement with Yorm that are also being addressed about Yorm's displacement immunity is actually a tier up from everyone else's displacement immunity because banishes aren't displacement. So there's some subtle things going on in the background of there too, but this was the one that people are going to most notice.
For Wheelish, she was very strong for a long time, but we nerfed her a lot, and now she's really weak. So we're reverting some of the previous changes partially to help her find a better spot.
Yeah.
We are increasing the strength and basic attack power bonus on her passive from 25 to 30%. On her 2, we are increasing the damage multiplier based on the basic attack change chain from 1.2, 1.8 times to 1.35, 1.9 times.
Yes. So just this is a partial revert. It's still weaker than the state for each of these was before. But we just, especially after like a base stat adjustment, like she really, really fell off. And so we think she has some room to come back up.
Sweet. Bologna. A fix. Her 3 is now properly tagged as a healing ability and should respect procs of items like Heartward.
Yeah, so mainly the cooldown reduction to be able to double cast this is the big thing that this is going to fix.
Hecate will be seeing a shift to her Spell Eater 2, increasing the base damage from 70 to 250 to 80 to 280. We're increasing the intelligence scaling from 40 to 50%, and we decreased the increase per spell eaten from 10% to 7.5%. So in general, this means that it will hit harder at lower charges with a slightly reduced top end, letting her have more consistent pressure as a mage.
Yeah, when we make spells like this, that have really, really high variance, we kind of have to figure out what the variant should be for this ability. And we can, there's a world where like you go really, really, really high on the variance, which is I think what this one was. And there's a world where like you tone it down so it can still hit really, really hard when you actually get it maxed out, but it's a bit more usable when you are in the situations where you just kind of need to like throw it up in the air and immediately use it because you're trying to pick someone off who's really low health who's trying to get away. This just brings it closer. It still has a really big range, but this is just going to make it a better ability overall.
Awesome. Next up, we have Giannis. What's going on with Giannis? Before I scroll down, because chat's losing their mind, the fact that they can see Giannis buff peeking through the bottom here.
Yes.
Just overview. How's Giannis doing?
Released really weak. We gave him some buffs. He's now better, but he's still probably like he's a character who's always going to be sub 50% win rate. If he's at 50% win rate, everyone's going to be clamoring for us to nerf him a ton because he's just going to be really, really oppressive at that win rate. So we know it's going to be lower, but he's still below where we want. So we have a few other buffs in here just to kind of help bring him up. And it's largely focused around like making sure that his ult in particular hits really hard when you use it, because that's a really big wind-up ability. We want that to really chunk. And then he also has some mana concern problems. I think we're still in discussions internally about how we want to deal with mana and how mana influences the early game.
Yeah.
But Giannis is currently an outlier, and he has to really use all of his abilities to clear the wave every single time. So he's under a lot more mana pressure than every other character in the game, and we're just going to take the edge off that.
So first thing we're doing is we're decreasing the mana cost of his Unstable Vortex from 70 to 90 to 60 to 80. Secondly, the threshold. We're decreasing the mana cost from 60 to 80 to 50 to 70. And his ultimate, we are increasing the intelligence scaling from 80 to 90. We are increasing the max distance intelligence scaling from 100% to 110%. And we are fixing an issue where bonuses from items like Rod of Tahuti were not contributing to this projectile's damage.
Yeah, Rod of Tahuti's bonus intelligence that it provides was just actually not contributing to this at all.
Well, that could have an impact considering Rod of Tahuti is a very important item right now.
So ult's going to just chunk a lot harder in general, even with just the bug fix, and we think we still have room on top of that to make it so that hits harder.
Yeah, so that is the changes to Giannis. Next, to Yorm, we have a buff and a fix. Yorm, I've heard, has been doing very poorly.
Yes, he's another underpowered release. Tsukuyomi will correct this, of course. He'll come in and just be like, wait, he'll make up the difference. So
okay.
So for 3 releases, we'll be back to 50.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I know he released underwhelming. Mostly it was related to a few, some bugs that we've already fixed that have gone live. I think we've noted that which ones of those are actually on here. But we just think that he has room to go up. Has less mobility. He's really big, and we just need to do some more balance work to make sure that he worked. And then we had a few things that we need to clean up, like in restricted counter pitch in particular, you couldn't cast one of his abilities as far, which means that he has a lot less range poke that's reliable. So fixes and buffs here are going to help him overall.
Okay, so for Yorm, his passive, immovable. We are increasing the enemy poison debuff duration from 4 seconds to 6 seconds, increasing the max health scaling from 5% to 6%, and increasing the strength scaling from 100% to 115%.
Yeah, so what this is the as you attack, you build up poison on a target. That it'll last on targets longer. It'll contribute more of your health scaling, and it's also going to increase more of your strength scaling. So if you're going like super high health or you're going super high basic attack damage, this pass is going to just hit a lot harder. So that build path is being better supported.
His Venomous Haze. We've increased the range from 10.4 to 12. This was included in a hotfix and was a parity miss from SMITE 1.
Yes, this should, I believe, already be live. Clumsy, you would know better. I know you're in chat because I see you.
Yes.
But yeah, I believe this is already in the game.
And his 3, we have increased the knockup height by 20%. And this also affects the aspect.
Yeah. One thing that he was lacking was just like the ability to control fights a lot better, and especially on the aspect side of things, where like he needs more control to be able to contribute to like his team as a more supporting character. This just means he can actually lock down a target more effectively.
And lastly, his 4 fixed an issue where this ability was not going to max range if not on restricted camera pitch.
Yep. So so not on restricted camera pitch, you couldn't aim this as far as you were supposed to be able to.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, which is funny because we got some reports of people saying like you can aim the ult as far, and then when we launch up editor defaults to restricted camera pitch on because that's like the default settings.
Yep.
So we're just like using it. We're like,
it's fine. Yeah.
Finally, someone did find the issue that was happening because we saw a good video of it. But yeah.
Mulan, Chad is losing their minds.
Mulan buff.
We have a buff to Training Grounds. Her passive consumable.
Yeah, so probably a little bit of a preamble for this.
Okay, sorry. Scroll back up.
So this is for the passive consumable. We did not remove it. Removing it would involve us coming up with a completely new thing and replacing it, and that is just something that we don't have the bandwidth for. It's why we haven't really done anything with this passive consumable. I think we're still on the boat of we want to at some point change the +1 that we've added, but that doesn't mean if we have a good idea that isn't super hard to implement that we can just leave. We could make Mulan better in the meantime. That's what this is for, is to make this consumable overall feel better to use, feel like it goes more into your gameplay style, make it a stronger +1 than it currently is. We will probably still revisit it in the future. This does not mean we won't.
Okay. So for her passive consumable, we are decreasing the cooldown from 180 to 90 seconds.
Yep.
We are increasing the XP and movement speed radius from 5.5 to 11 meters. The tooltip said it was 11 meters radius, but it was 11 meters diameter. We are making it 11 meters radius, giving Mulan more control over where she can place it and benefit from it, while defending it to keep its effects active.
Yeah, if you're familiar with like Amu's and Hive, that's more the playstyle that this feels like now. You can kind of place it in a defensive area. You can kind of guard it more effectively. It contributes more to you in a bigger range. That's more what this is going for now.
We have fixed the tooltip, stating it gave speed to allies within 160 meters. This was and is intended to be 25 meters. We have increased the movement speed from 5 to 10%. This includes the minimum for allies running towards the banner. We have removed the XP bonus, and we have added, while she is in the training grounds, her training arc passive is always active.
So her training arc passive is your like after every like 10 seconds, your next ability cast has reduced cooldown. Mm-hmm. While you're in the flag, you will always, all your abilities will always have that reduced cooldown.
Yeah. So you're getting a pretty significant cooldown buff on everything if you're fighting while you're in your flag.
Yes, which also will mean that you can cast your abilities more, which means you can train them more, which means that you can actually get the more experience for your thing. It actually, I think, fits better with the training grounds feel. And this one, again, was something we could add and make it feel better. So this should help her. If she can actually stay in the flag and defend it, then it's going to be really good. Enemies, you'll probably actually want to try and focus this down more often.
Mm-hmm. And then for her Divine Mastery, we also have some changes. We have increased protections while firing from 30 to 40%. We have increased the arrow base damage from 175 to 375 to 180 to 540.
Yeah, that is a pretty massive jump. And
that's huge.
It is pretty big. The reason is we got feedback that essentially a lot of people are just canceling right after you do the dash route into the knockup. The damage wasn't worth it to continue to keep yourself locked in.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, and you'd rather just cancel it, start using another ability, 3 them so that you could actually continue the CC chain. And if that's the case, that means the damage isn't worth it.
Yeah.
So we're going to make the damage worth it.
So you now have the benefit. If you spend the extra second or so to fire the arrow, you will get some benefit out of it.
Yep. And then 45 damage at rank 4. That's just that's a skill.
I'm gonna guess it's 445.
No, it's probably it's 450.
450. Okay.
It's a skill check. It's testing reading comprehension. You're supposed to skip that rank.
Awesome. So hopefully that will help the Mulan enjoyers feel a little bit better.
And there is something else on here. Someone gave us feedback on the PTS about how there's often the banner will consume your inventory items. So the cases that will happen is like if you have a potion and a multi-potion, you swap them. The banner would be like, oh, you guys are changing your inventory. I'm going to try and inject myself in here. And it would actually like delete one of your items. Same thing if you pick things like, say, if you picked up a ward off a camp, like the Cyclops camp, that could also cause a deletion there. That should be fixed.
Okay.
The system is pretty complicated. I tried to test as best I can. keep an eye out on it.
Okay, please keep an eye
Send me
out,
bug
chat.
reports in case it didn't work that way.
We read those. Next, Susanoo will be getting a nerf to his Typhoon, which is his ultimate. It now requires a full charge to apply the knockup.
Yes.
Rejoice.
Yeah, this was one that especially ambassadors kind of push for is the ability just to like immediately kind of like throw out instant CC into the team fight was just really, really oppressive. It also does mean that it makes it hard for us to buff him elsewhere. So if he needs buffs after this, you're actually going to be a lot more comfortable giving him buffs because he's not just going to immediately instantaneously apply giant AoE to the team. Like you could, it's essentially like you could kind of range gibble the team, right?
Yeah, I think it was really strong, and I think the only reason people didn't realize how strong it was is because he's not ultra popular because he's relatively hard to play, you know?
Yeah.
So if you don't run into it a lot, then maybe you wouldn't see it. But now it's kind of like when we, you know, I think the buff that we were able to do to Hecate's to this patch kind of follows on from some of the changes that we were able to make with mode-specific balance and whatnot. So, hopefully this is improvement. Next, Thanatos will be getting a fix. We fixed an issue where the damage of his hovering death would not trigger item effects. Pawn, tell me about the novel of a bug report that we got that helped fix this.
So the guy who sent this in, he could have just told me like, hey, this item isn't working. He actually did go and test every single item and listed every single item that wasn't working. On our end, it needed to be tagged properly. It was a one tag fix that fixed all these cases. But it was a very, very, very thorough report. I do appreciate thorough reports. Thank you to the guy who said that.
I think we need to pour one out for, I'm going to say his name wrong, Mitharia? Is that the actual pronunciation? Yes. Okay. I'm well aware of the Morrigan enjoyer, who will unfortunately be enjoying her a little bit less after this aspect nerf. Aspect of Mischief, Confusion, increasing the cooldown from 15 seconds to 17 to 15 seconds, decreasing the movement speed buff from 30 scaling to 40% to flat 30%, decreasing the movement speed buff duration and refire time from 3 to 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And that's what we got.
So this means that now when you're playing against the Aspect of Mischief Morgan, the kind of bait out window time that you have to like figure out who's the real one, who's the fake, and if they swapped is now a pretty consistent 3 seconds, right? Like when you're playing against Chalk and he throws out an axe, you're playing that mini game of, is he going to teleport? Is he not going to teleport? Am I going to try and cut him off? 5 seconds is a really big window of time to play around. 3 is just going to make this a lot easier to approach. The consistent movement speed buff is also another change to this ability that's going to just make it feel more consistent. And then because we basically removed all other scaling factors of this, we added the cooldown, which means now you have a reason to also rank this ability, which is to get it more quickly. We know that this aspect in particular can really introduce some frustration. This should make it more manageable and approachable. It should still be usable to trick out people, but it is a it's
a sizable nerf.
It is a sizable nerf to this playstyle. And then we also have other notes of like things that we want to be resolving on the Morgan over time, where we have a few bugs we want to fix and a few other things. But a few bugs.
Okay.
But this aspect has also been similar to like the Susano case. It's kind of always been a limiting factor because we know that if we go too far with the Morgan, like she can become really, really oppressive really, really fast. And this in particular is one of those aspects that we were really worried about. So if this is now more in control, we could also look in other places to buff the Morgan, because even her base version probably could use some buffs as well. But our aspect system allows us to separate it out, but we also want to not make them too complicated and tooltip heavy of like, okay, because this aspect exists, we're now going to do 50 bullet points of other balance changes. We want the characters to feel somewhat consistent between the two. So this should hopefully give us some more room in the future.
Awesome. Next, we have Ymir, a buff for tank Ymir, a nerf to damage Ymir.
Yes.
I don't know how I should feel about this, but let's just read what we're doing.
So real quick.
Ymir's
underperforming as a whole, just across the board.
He's underperforming?
Yeah, he is.
That's crazy.
He's
I feel like
popular.
He's so good.
People like him. I think he has moments of high impact.
Yeah.
Like the times you get frozen and die from it, you notice.
Yeah.
The times that he crits you for 1,000 off like popping dagger frenzy and it's late game, and he's 20-0 in a game that's a stomp and he kills you that fast. Like you feel it, right?
Yeah.
But like his actual overall performance has been pretty underwhelming across the board in all modes. So the goal here is to help out, especially the tank style of play.
So Glacial Strike, his 2, the damage will be increasing from 90 to 310 to 90 to 330. We are decreasing the added strength scaling on it from 55% to 45%.
Yes.
His Frost Breath, his 3. The stun duration is decreasing from 1 to 1.6 to 1 to 1.4, but we're adding new plus 0.2 stun duration for every 100 protection from items up to 0.4 seconds. So it could be 1.8 if you have 400 protections from items.
Yeah, and we think that this is a good... So essentially, if you're going the kind of strength, really damage-focused Ymir style play, you'll have less scaling, but you'll have a bit more early game pressure as you're ranking up Glacial Strike. But your Frost Breath won't contribute as much stun power. You'll have less lockdown time to be able to just kind of wail on them. But if you're playing tank style Ymir where you're actually stacking some protections, you can get a pretty meaty stun. And because he's slow, he's not super mobile. If he gets in range of you and lands that stun, that's really what he contributes. So we want to make sure that felt impactful for him.
And we've also decreased the mana cost on this from 40 to 80 to 40 to 60.
Yep.
And then for his ultimate, we have increased the protection damage scaling from 30% to 45%.
Yeah, even this isn't actually that much more damage. It just means that if you are building more protection focused, you will have a ult that hits pretty hard.
Okay. And then on to items. And there aren't a lot of item buffs and debuffs this update.
Yeah. Our buffs and like you see a lot of ours are fixes because we actually spent
nerfs, not debuffs. I'm a dummy. Okay, go for it. Sorry.
But we had like a lot of fixes in this one.
Yeah.
But the fixes that we did do are going to be a bit more impactful in terms of balance changes. There's a lot of things that we had this patch going on, but like one of them was also like we had a lot of like big fixes that we were able to get in.
So for item balance, Blink, I teased this one a little bit. We are decreasing the cooldown of Blink from 180 seconds to 140 seconds.
Yep.
And we have fixed the tooltips that were wrong that said it was a 90 seconds because it wasn't supposed to be 90 ever.
Yeah, so when we rewrote every single tooltip, we had like a snapshot of the tooltip stuff.
Yep.
But we also did have to literally go through every single tooltip and like adjust them and
Yes.
rewrite them. We made some mistakes on some of them. This said it was 90 seconds cooldown. It wasn't. It was 180. It's been 180 the whole time. It's going to 140. And Blink we just think has room to go up, especially now that it's not combat Blink. And we've seen that its usage and win rate has dropped a little bit over time. This should just bring it back more online, especially because it now has a bit more competition from Agility Relic.
Yep. Aegis of Acceleration buff. We fixed an issue where this was just Aegis. It was not Aegis of Acceleration. It was not granting the bonus movement speed at all. This has likely been broken for some time. Our current estimate is that it never worked, and it would pretty seriously affect its overall strength.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I'm like, it's been broken for at least a year, assuming that it ever worked. So now it works.
Yes.
And this is another relic that could also use a buff. So fixing this is just good.
Yeah. So if for those of you who don't know, Aegis stores up kind of the damage that you took while you were Aegis.
Yes.
And it's supposed to give you a movement speed buff after the Aegis pops.
Yeah.
Like after you are no longer damage immune. But that just wasn't working.
Yeah, we went to go buff it, and we're like, I can't get this to trigger.
Yes.
And it's just, I guess no one said.
And as far as I know, we did not get bug reports about this.
Yeah,
This was not a...
which is wild. Like,
yeah.
This is really weird because like we would also expect bug reports. We just didn't like, and we get a lot of bug reports.
Yeah, we get so many bug reports, and they're very useful. Like we fix so many things that come in via bug reports. This is one we just like nobody mentioned it. We're like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So this will help it.
Yeah. So maybe Aegis will be really good now. I mean, it's currently really good anyway, right?
Yeah. And people do buy Aegis. It does perform worse than beads. Like when I talk, like all our relics, by the way, are like. This most overperforming one is like a 51% win rate, and the least performing one is like a 49% win rate. Like they're all actually very, very close with each other as a whole. But they're also really commonly built every game. They have a lot of sample rates, so they kind of all trend towards 50. So that the little differences are there, and like they are meaningful. But like you can pick any of these, and you'll be able to be successful in game.
The Reaper is getting a buff. We are increasing the stack duration from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. We're increasing the starting stack count from 3 to 4. And killing a god immediately maxes your current stacks.
Yep. So we're going to make it so that when you actually get the stacks on you, they last longer so you can use them more effectively. Increasing the starting stack count just means that when you do trigger its effect, you'll be getting more strength up front from the item. It also means you have more deaths before you hit the low end. And yeah, when you kill a god, we want that moment to feel super impactful. So you also get the heal at that moment. It'll also max out your current stacks if you're not max. So like if you start a fight as like Thanatos and you land and execute someone, you're now in the middle of the fight with a bonus stack at max stacks Reaper. So this should just make the item just feel a lot better to use.
Awesome. Glad Shield's getting a buff. Surprised on that one. I feel like it's good already, but apparently it needs a little bit more.
Yeah, of the like bruiser pro items, it has kind of fallen off and has remained fallen off. So we think it's safe at this point to buff it up because if it's strong, it'll be competing with other things you need in that build. So it's not like we're bringing up the overall power of that build style. We're just giving you a different choice here.
Awesome. And we're just giving 5 more physical protections and 25 more health on.
Yep.
And then Helm of Radiance, a shift. The cost is going to go up from 23 to 2,500. We're giving it 10 more intelligence, 10 more physical protections. The max stack count is going down from 6 to 4. So at 0 stacks, it has 10 more physical protections. At max stacks, it has 4 less physical protections.
Yeah. This item is really meant for the situation where you're like kind of a squishy mage and you really need some physical damage, or you need like physical procs like ASAP. Its stat budget was really too low to be supportive in that build style, so that's why the cost went up, so we could give it some more intelligence. That's also why we moved more protections to the base amount of the item. It still stacks up to a pretty good amount, but you have more upfront protection from like probably the first big hit that the like assassin jumping you is going to deal.
Awesome. And I think that's it for items this patch. I do have some bug fixes, and I do have something else in game to look at, which is the new item building system.
Yes.
What's it called again?
Essential.
Essential. There you go. So bug fixes. We just have a couple listed on here. We fixed an issue where Ganesha Turn of Fate could kill you if you use Fire Giant Dagger.
Yep. That's
a Turn of Fate right there.
Because you stun yourself if you would revive, but that stun happens before it processes the damage immunity, so the mark then does the damage that kills you.
Morja Danza dashes going through enemies.
That's a big one.
Has been fixed. We are also still looking at some Mercury stuff, I know.
Yeah, so. So Mercury, I know the ult in particular, I have a path to try and make the ult feel better and like not pass through targets as much, so we're going to try and get that in. It'll probably be next patch, but we'll see where we can fit it in.
Baron aspect was unintentionally giving damage reduction.
Yeah, that was supposed to be removed with the aspect, so that should make it so that you're not contributing as much tankiness to essentially yourself.
And I love this note. We fixed an issue with Soul Meltdown forgetting one of her jokes. She now recalls going on an unexpected date with Emir.
That's really funny, actually.
Yeah, very well worded. Thank you, Kellen, for putting that in there. And I'm going to go back to us for a second while I swap around to in-game to look at the Essential Item Store. And I have to make sure I have the Essential Item Store turned on. And I am in dev, so I need to also make sure that I don't show other stuff that's not done yet. Yeah, so that is our balance for this upcoming update. Where is it? UI. Okay, it's on. Okay. I'm just gonna do. I guess versus AI would work. Or should I just do like a custom?
Custom's probably just gonna be the easiest to show it off. Because versus AI, it should work in versus AI. But we have that bug that we're fixing that you might run into.
All right. I'm gonna add box.
Do you want me to kind of explain the system while you're getting it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the goal here is we want to create basically a transition. Like we've seen that the kind of pick 3 system in the quick play has done really, really well with players. Like they get to feel like they make choices, but it's a kind of a simplified decision making. They get to start learning some of the items that exist in the game, but they're not overwhelmed with like the sheer amount of items that are presented to them. But when they leave quick play, they go straight from that experience to here's the full item store with all of its complexity.
Yeah.
Go. And that is a really jarring experience.
It's rough.
So the goal of this essential is to essentially bring those players who are quick play players more towards the standard SMITE 2 store experience.
I'm mid lane. Who's a good mid laner to show this off? Does it matter?
Agni would probably be good.
Okay, Agni.
And so with this system, essentially, this store will present you, similar to the quick play experience, it'll present you items, like a build to build. When you build that item, it'll take you to a section of the store that is like, here's the 3 items we recommend for you. Here's also consumables that you can buy. And when you go to buy them, instead of like quick play where you can only buy the item once you have all the gold to buy it, you can buy them in pieces. So when you start building one of the items, it shows you, yeah, you're making progress toward this item. Here's the tree on the right side explaining where you are in it. And it's basically an introduction to, now that you're playing a different mode out of quick play, you're going to be building these pieces together.
Ooh, I might have picked the wrong mode. I'm gonna see once I load it. I'm
right.
like this mode might have something in it I can't actually show, and I might have to start a new match.
Oh, sure, fair enough. So yeah, this is essentially our way of teaching those players. Okay, now you get gold, you build items partially, you build these components together. Come back when you have some more to finish the item out. Here's some consumables that you can buy. We've also made some just flow improvements to both quick play and this to help support it. So like one thing is, for example, it shows you included consumables that you're gonna buy. Yeah. It also gives you, Keely, a relic choice, because in quick play you only get agility relic. Now you actually have a choice of relics to build. So yeah,
I
you
am
can kind
Agni.
of go through the flow.
I'm a mid laner. What should I pick? Ability damage, ability spam, or bruiser?
Let's go with ability spam.
Ability spam. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then now I get to pick between 3 relics. And you always will get the same 3 relic choices right now.
Yes, it is going to be beads, Aegis, agility relic. We debated a little bit. We have the capacity to do this. So like some builds we could throw like a phantom shell for like the support builds, but we want to just kind of keep the choices simple at its core.
Because again, this is new players that are transitioning, and you're never going to go wrong. Even if you're a support, building beads or Aegis or agility are going to be okay.
Yeah,
right?
They're going to be fine, especially as a new player.
So I'm just going to say I'm going to pick agility. It's probably the wrong pick. And then we go here. And this is, these consumables are bundled off to the left today.
Yeah.
We need to fix that. But you're presented with 3 items that you can build.
Yep.
So I pick what I want to build first. And, these are all reasonable items to build in a Agni build if I'm trying to spam stuff. I'm going to pick Book of Thoth. So I can either click buy here. I can right click on this. I can click on this and then, I guess I have to click on one of this. So buy.
Yeah. And
then it will buy the first component that I can afford, and it will show that it's in progress and that I don't have enough gold to keep building it.
Yes.
And then if I want to buy consumables, I can buy consumables, and then I can just go on my merry way and play the game.
Yep.
And then if I get some gold, and I go back to base, then I'm here, and it's like, oh, hey, this was the thing I was building. It remembered. Now I can buy the rest of it.
And now here's 3
and
new
then
choices.
Here's 3 next items. So it's pretty straightforward. And then if you're in this and you want to leave it, you just click on this detailed, and it takes you back to the full item store.
Yes.
Once you're in the full item store, though, you're in the full item store for the rest of the game, right?
Yes.
So this is for players that are. This is in normal matches. This is in the classic queue matches.
Yep.
This is not for auto. This is not for quick play. This is to help new players transitioning from quick play into classic queues. So if you're just a new player and you haven't changed any settings, you're using quick play, you're building by clicking on these 3 things. You're now going into a real match for the first time.
Yep.
You're building the same way at first.
Yes.
But I will also say you did a lot of work to make these item builds more consistent and less.
Yeah, for the first pass of like the quick play stuff, I kind of really intentionally made it so that you're picking a general build style, but I wanted you to have a variety and ability to change things, because part of the thing that I wanted to really focus on for especially new players was showing the variety of things that we have available to them and different cool effects that they can build, because that's just a cool thing to have. Over time, it's generally been like, it's probably better to actually guide them a bit more directly with what they're building. So for both quick play builds and these builds, they should generally be a lot better at doing what they're supposed to do. So in each one, like the first 3 items that you're presented are basically always going to be the first 3 that are presented, so that you have a pretty consistent starting experience. And they're also really highly recommended, because if you've gone a high CDR build, if you've done the ability spam build, Chronos Pendant should probably be an option for you, and should probably be a really common option that pops up multiple times. And I've done a lot of work to make sure that the items that are present there are a lot more like consistent with the goal of the build. They show up at the right time. So like Rada Tahuti, that's recommended at like the later stages of a build. In like the attack speed on hit intelligence build, we have like, the item that converts intelligence to attack speed. That one's only buildable if you've built the 2 other intelligence things in that build, to make sure that that makes sense when you do build it. So we've done a lot of refinement so that if you go through this system, it should make you a pretty compelling build on its own.
Yeah.
It won't be optimal. It won't be perfect, but
It's probably better than trying to struggle through it yourself.
And you're less likely to run into the quick play build scenarios where like you'd be doing the damage build, but because we want to show you a variety of things, it would present you like a tank item, and you could suddenly end up with like a mystical mail in the middle of like your ability spam build. It's like, yeah, it's interesting to show it there as an option if this was like a more roguelike-y experience where like you're just getting random items thrown at you. But like for the actual purposes of like creating a build that's going to be successful in a conquest match, it's a lot more tailored now.
Yeah. And once you hit level 20 or whatever level, you can buy your starter upgrade. That'll be presented to you as your part of your next purchase. If you're in the middle of building something, you will need to finish that before you can finish your starter, because again, just easier to communicate to new players.
And then that's also a change from quick play too, because quick play actually it just automatically granted you the upgrade.
Yeah.
It didn't even take gold to upgrade it in quick play. The moment you hit the level required to need it, it would just give it to you. So this is now showing that you have restrictions around certain items and it will present it at the right time. And then, yeah, when you're at the end of your build, it'll be like, okay, cool, you've reached max build. Here's what you can now finish spending your items on. It teaches kind of what the elixir system is for.
Yep. And then also, I'll note that there's no undo in this version because we're trying to simplify. There's no selling in this version because we're trying to simplify, right? This is supposed to be a new player focused thing. So there are intentionally things that are missing from this to try and streamline that experience for new players.
Yeah, the goal is you have quick play, then this, and then when they're ready to, they can explore the more detailed view, now with some context about how you build items, the component system. The things like undo will be more meaningful to them. The things like selling will be more meaningful to them. Things like pivoting their build choice midway through is going to be more meaningful to them when they have the context that this provides.
Yep. Awesome. I think that's that then. I just wanted to show that off because we didn't get a chance to show that off on Wednesday. And that's actually a pretty big feature for this patch, right? Like some things, chat is probably like it's obvious that it's a big feature. There's other things that it's like, oh yeah, that actually took a ton of time because that took a lot of UI design time and UI programming time. It took a lot of your time. It took a lot of general programming time to get the system working together.
Yes.
Like this is one of those things that is a big effort for us, which again, a lot of people that are watching Titan Talk today will never use, but it's the next step to getting new players to stick around longer once they're playing. We've made a lot of progress with getting new players to stick around longer. And, we're just going to keep focusing on the things that we think are like points of like friction in their player journey where it's like, I'm just not having fun anymore because the game changed suddenly drastically. So that is kind of the overview for what we have coming out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So usually we're up about 8 o'clock in the morning, so Eastern time. So I don't want to promise that, but if by the time you wake up, because you're all gamers and you're gonna probably sleep in, we should have an update ready for you to play. Lots of fun stuff. With that, anything else you want to say before we start taking some questions to end out the show?
I'm trying to think. Just Tsukuyomi was really fun to work on again. He was one of my favorite gods I got to work on in Smite 1, so getting to work on him again. And just seeing like the glow up that he's gotten in Smite 2. I think the team, I shared it with we have like a Slack channel for each individual god that we're porting over. And I shared in the thread about like someone was commenting on the hair and they thought that looked really cool. And then there's a thread about like a thing that he could do, like it's like an ability spam to like really disarm someone. And then the thread just had comments of people like, man, he really got a glow up with all his VFX and share that with the team. And the team appreciated it. So just looking forward to see how you guys all enjoy Tsukuyomi. I hope he's not so release Tsukuyomi strong.
Yeah.
I think we've preemptively nerfed enough, but we'll see. And we'll react fast if needed.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all the hard work on Tsukuyomi. I'm excited to see how people feel about it tomorrow. And let's take some questions.
Spirit is Lady still don't give Thanatos the excellent passive on the item. It will cooldown instantly after executing a god. It's probably related to when the ability goes on cooldown. I can probably look at that. I'll add it to my list of things.
Since you fixed Thana ult, could you fix Hecate and Emir ult not proccing items?
Those aren't proccing items?
That's what Relic TWG says.
It's probably attack. So
probably. Okay, I'm just gonna write those down for you. Thoughts on making buying gods more accessible. The cost is too high. So you get a free god unlock token at every level from 1 to level 50, and that's meant to be the main way that you're unlocking gods.
Yeah.
And then really, if you're going to be a long-term player of the game, we want you to buy the ultimate, the Founders Edition, right? The Founders Edition is a great deal. It comes with a lot of stuff for your money, and we really want you to go that direction. So the goal isn't like in Smite 1 where you're getting favored to unlock gods. It really is just level up, you get tokens to unlock gods. I was going to write this down. It was Hecate and who? Emir.
Yeah, Emir.
Okay.
Someone asked a question about like Tsukuyomi hair, like that tech looking as good as it does. Does that mean it's going to get backported? And I think generally it's going to be more of a thing of as our team learns to develop new techniques to make characters look really, really good in the engine. It's probably something that we'll take and move forward with. And this is like Smite 1. Like if you look at Smite 1's original cast of characters back in like 2013, and then you saw like the gods that were released 3 years later after that, and the gods were released 3 years later after that, and the gods were released 3 years later after that, like they were all very different. Like they were very different in like how they actually visually portrayed. And then eventually the characters that were old enough got kind of updated. It's probably gonna be something that we move forward with this new knowledge, really making it all the characters look good. And then at some point we will probably go back and be like, yeah, we think that this character is now looks out of place enough now to go back and adjust again. So I wouldn't expect like immediate backporting of features like that. It's gonna be more as we move forward.
Any plans to change how mandatory Rod of Tahuti feels?
Interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's why I picked that one out, because it's
yeah.
something we have talked about internally here.
So I have a doc right now that is what would the game balance look like if I removed Rod. It has all the items, what their new int values would be, how we adjusted them. But there's a bit of back and forth about how that's going to affect the game. It's not quite a heal pass level change, but it is at the end stage of the game, the mages will feel about the same, right? Like if we make this change, mages will feel about the same. You've removed an item from the pool. It will increase the diversity of items that you build because you're not required to build Rod of Tahuti. You can flex an int item and it's not going to feel as weak as it does because it's kind of assumed that you get Rod of Tahuti. It does mean though that like the mid to early game stages of your mage are going to be stronger because you will just have more int in that world. And how does that affect the balance of the game? How does it affect the meta? How does that affect like the power curves of characters? There's more that would probably have to be done there, and I think we'd want a more comprehensive plan. I think though it is like a goal that I would like to move towards. It feels like it checks all the boxes of this item restricts builds, feels mandatory, has affected the game balance in a way that it's kind of required, and its removal is not so like if we remove Obsidian Shard and Titan's Bane, that has a much bigger impact on the game that's going to be a lot harder to address than something like this changes. Like, yeah, it'll have some knock-ons, but it's something that you could kind of bounce around relatively quickly. And because it checks all those boxes, I think it's probably inevitable that we go that direction. Just what that looks like and when. We were thinking that we might try it for OB19, but we had the discussion about kind of the knock-ons there. It's probably going to be a bit more of an evolved work because we also have some other stuff coming in OB19 and 20.
I feel like we have, like, I feel like we keep saying this, but we have so many things that are just, like, in progress right now.
Yeah.
That, like, I have, like, all these features that are, like, close to being done or are in some level of development that it's just, like, it's like there's more coming. You know? Like, but the way that we work, right, our goal is we ship every 2 weeks. So when we ship every 2 weeks, then it's like you kind of have to build around, let's make as much progress as we can in this 2 week sprint on the thing. And if it's good, if it's done, we ship it. If not, we keep working on it. We have a couple things that have just taken a few extra sprints because of the way things work out.
Yeah. And someone did mention it, like Shard's also mandatory. And that's why I kind of went through my check boxes is Shard, it fails the check of removing it's easy, right? Removing Rod is relatively easy because you could rebalance a little bit of the base damage of some of the mages to compensate for the fact that they're gaining some more intelligence. Like you can make some tweaks there. How protections interacts and how that interacts at all stages of the game is just one of those things that's really difficult. And so in a world where like your whole build is defined by having to build a whole bunch of penetration items versus you kind of feel forced to buy this one penetration item versus full like freedom to build whatever you want. Obviously we want to move towards the full freedom to build whatever you want, but the one item is a less bad world than the all 6 of your items must have these pens and any item that doesn't have it is like where it's find the best path that is the best for now and keep trying to move in positive directions and try and move in the positive directions where you find opportunities to do that. So I agree, Shard is mandatory. It's probably not the optimal system. There's probably a better system out there that gives you more freedom and flexibility. That's just a lot harder of a world to get to than Rod of Tahuti is, I think, causing a similar problem that's easier to get past.
So we go in steps, right?
Yeah,
we do this first and then we address the other things later. There was a question about Mystical Mail. In the ability or in the item in the item tooltip update, it lost the tooltip part saying that it reduces shields.
That's still there.
It does still reduce shields.
Yes, it still reduces shields. I think someone also mentioned they were wondering if Blink still had the if you damage someone aggressively you get the cooldown reduction, or is it? I think it's kill. I don't know if that was still on the tooltip. We should just double check.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before. If you find things that are like tooltip problems, we'll just try and fix them as fast as possible because we did that whole tooltip pass. There are some mistakes in them, right? Because we literally rewrote every single one, and we also have like The other hard part about this, as you mentioned, is like they're all 2-week sprints. So it's like we can, if we really need to, bank a thing so that we can do it over a longer period of time with a bit more intentionality. But that means that we have to like create its own separate branch for it, and that can create some headaches when it comes to merge. And like the overhead there, we think was worth getting this in front of people than trying to like hold it just because we had a few tooltip issues. So Runeforge actually got, so a question about Runeforge being worse than underwhelming. It's now a lot more popular. We did some buffs to it. It's had a lot better success after those buffs, and people are building it more. We just think it was really undertuned. We thought the effect would be stronger than it was, and it really, you ended up having to play around it a lot more intentionally, and you didn't get the effect as often as you wanted to. You couldn't rely on it, and now it's a lot more reliable. I think that's in a better spot. We'll keep an eye on it. If it doesn't feel like it gets, like, I would say it's probably in a healthy-ish spot right now, but let's say it dips again in popularity and win rate, and like people just don't really feel like they're driving with it. Like, yeah, we probably reinvestigate it at that point. Because there's some things that like if you buff it and it keeps being resistant to seeing better success after buffs, probably not really it kind of is a more underlying problem. Sobek aspect I think is another good example of that one. Like we were like, maybe this is just undertuned and why it's underperforming. We buffed it pretty significantly since its initial release. It's still not being used. It probably should just be reworked at this point because the core underlying mechanics of it are just not what people are driving with, right?
Yep. Any update on PS5 frame rate drops? We are investigating PS5 frame rate drops. We also are just doing a lot on performance in general right now. We don't put that into patch notes just because it's a little bit more nebulous and we're just constantly making little improvements. But we are, I hear the programmers talking all day, every day about the various things that they are doing to improve performance in their arcane mastery.
Yeah.
It's like,
and some of it's interesting too, like Bari ult on PS5. Jordan sent me a message about how like, hey, she has like the dancers that do the dance thing. Those actually take like a full frame to spawn of time.
Yeah.
Which means that when you ult, it hitches, but when you test it in a different environment, it was like actually significantly less. And so it's even some things like that end up showing fine on like performance profiling that like I might do at my computer. When you actually get it onto a hardware console, it's like, oh no, this is actually for some reason about the architecture of how it is and how we're doing things, it can end up being more. So Jordan sends me things. I'm like, yeah, you're clearly looking at this in depth. We're constantly making strides there. I think overall, like it'd be one of those things that'd be fun to like release a build from like a year ago, so people can like really feel the difference that we've made on a lot of these things. Because it's one of the things that there's probably not going to be ever a patch that's like, okay, suddenly FPS is 40% improved.
Yeah, but it's just kind of bit by bit over time. It's gotten better.
Like another thing is the programmers talked to us about changing how like the default setting of some of the abilities going on characters going forward, because it's going to set us up better for some better architecture, and it's also technically a better performance improvement. Like those types of things are like constantly in discussion.
People asking about Silksong. I haven't played it yet. Did you play it?
I launched it for 20 minutes.
Okay.
I have like a streaming setup for like my computer basically streams to like a NVIDIA Shield thing. And then I play it there. But I've had this like ever persisting bug of like every 5 minutes I'll get like 2 to 3 seconds of like just stuttery frame loss.
Not really
and so
workable
I spent the
for
week,
that game.
Yeah, I just tried to play through it, and after like I was jumping over a lava area and I had to like pogo off a dude who was charging me, and after like getting to that point and then falling because I got the lag spike right at that moment like 3 times. I spent the rest of the weekend troubleshooting my network, changed everything, still have the problem. It's its own frustration. I might just play it on my computer at this point.
Right.
We'll see.
The only thing I played a little bit this weekend, I played maybe like the first hour of Hyper Light Drifter.
Ooh.
It's really good. It had been on my to-play list for forever. I bought it like, I think I got it in a Humble Bundle forever ago.
I think there's a few people we've worked with before that are on that team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good. I'm enjoying it so far. But that's literally the only thing I played this weekend.
Someone's very happy about the Mulan stuff, which good.
Any talk of the next aspect for an older god? Ooh, we got a spicy one.
Yeah.
It's great. Is it next update or is it 2 updates from now?
Yeah. What actual patch is
Hold
that?
on, let me look it up.
We're not going to spoil it, obviously.
We're not spoiling it, but it is spicy.
Yeah.
Let me look.
While you're looking that up, someone mentioned Tsukuyomi's host game has kind of changed to like this kind of more black. So when they do the model update, they do a lot of texture update. And this is just one of those things where like the kind of team kind of looked at it and how it would portray in game and felt like that would contrast better and just look better overall. Contrast more with his weapons. I know I get some feedback on the weapons about how like their color felt a little bit muted. They've made some adjustments since then. But yeah, it's just one of those things that like we evaluate it and go like, hey, what should this character look like and how should they look in the engine? And we just felt it kind of looked better for the character, especially as like kind of a night moon god. It also helps like his silver hair contrast better. So they make those types of adjustments. Some of it's also lighting of the scene. Like when you go into the god viewer, that area, it's a bit darker in general versus like when you're actually in like the full lit conquest map. So colors end up looking a little bit different there as well. They also have like different post-process settings for like actual saturation of things. So it's going to look a little bit different, but they make those types of adjustments. And unless we have like a really strong reason, like, oh no, this needs to stay, or we think there's like something missing, we kind of let them cook on what they want to do.
The spicy new aspect is OB21.
21.
Is where it's currently penciled.
Okay, so yeah.
It's a little bit of a wait.
Yeah, we're playtesting it right now. We're just holding it for then.
Yeah.
For reasons. That will become apparent.
Yes. Let's see. It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah, wow. We got there really fast.
Yeah, it's time for one more question.
Actually, that's a cool one. Is there any further work on new items? I'd like to see more niche items. There is a new item for next patch. It just fills a gap that people have been asking for.
Cool.
We will probably do like another kind of item pass of like look at underperforming items where like we can make them more interesting by like changing them up, looking to fill more gaps. I know like another part is like, and this question asked about like specifically like into attack speed items. There's like one item that really supports it really heavily. There's probably some better support that we could have there as well. So like next patch we'll have one. It'll probably be a little bit before we do like a big pass of like, here's a slew of new things.
I don't have an answer for this, but I think this is an interesting idea. The idea is, would you consider having a minimum worshiper amount gained per game, or start gaining worshipers when players queue for games rather than when they get in them?
Yeah, this one's interesting, yeah.
So minimum amount per game, I think we probably wouldn't do, because that could incentivize people to like surrender games early, or, you know, like just leave games or whatnot to optimize their worshiper farming. And that's not the kind of play pattern that we would really want. Right now, worshipers is based entirely on time in game, correct?
Yes.
So time in game, it does make sense that if you are in queue for a long time, having that count towards your worshiper count, I think that that's a reasonable argument.
Yeah, because right now you're probably mostly getting worshipers by playing Conquest, because even if Conquest takes maybe like 30 seconds to a minute longer to get into the queue, you're going to be in game for 10 minutes longer than an arena probably. And so because of that, your rate, like it's favoring currently that ratio of time. I know we've talked about, and this is one thing that we're always cognizant of too, is like one reason against a mode that's like an 8-minute arena would be, okay, it's an 8-minute arena. You have to queue up again and go through the whole god pick process. Like your ratio of time in game to out of game is suddenly really out of whack. You probably have to do things to speed that up. So like you'd have to have like a different mechanism so that people could get into matches faster again to make that make sense.
Yeah.
Similarly, you could probably make some systems that help it so that if you are playing a mode that is more frequently, like it's a shorter mode, there's some compensation for the fact that there is a queue time disparity there.
Yeah. And there people are noting that there is a bonus if you win versus if you don't win.
Right.
And that's another thing that we do, but probably won't be going away, because again, it's like you don't want the optimal way to grind worshipers to
launch into a match and surrender.
Yeah, or just like AFK, you know, try to drag a match out as long as possible because you don't care if you win, right?
Yeah.
So so probably not changing there, but I think that like some additional benefit to count for the time that you're in queue or in match lobby could be an interesting thing to look at.
And it's because like again, this is like some people's full-time job is like really focus on these systems in particular, because technically if you have like quests in your game that are like win 3 matches, well, now the tables have turned and you actually really want to play the short modes to just knock those out really quickly. That can end up causing them to be more effective. And if they're just like, there's a whole economy of time spent that you have to kind of respect. But I we are in particularly cognizant of things like that, where it's like that's why we also don't want queues to take too long and the god match lobby to take too long. And if we can find opportunities to speed that up, it's generally good. Is because it also means that you're playing more than just waiting for something or in a selection of a god screen.
Yeah, that was always one of the big things that we fought against in Paladins too, was that like, because Paladins had short matches compared to like Conquest, but you still had the same time length of like, it was more like an arena pacing where it's like you have this long pick bands, especially like ranked in Paladins was like, you know, this really long pick bands going into a relatively short match. So anyway, awesome. Well, thanks everybody so much for tuning in today.
Yeah, great.
It's been a good Monday. We're glad to be back. We're glad to not be sick anymore. We will be back with an update tomorrow, where Tsukuyomi will be out along with everything else we talked about today. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk more. I don't have anything specifically planned, but we'll have fun things to talk about, I'm sure. RIP Alani check. Yeah, didn't do Alani today. Sorry, I got a Waterloo lemon lime.
I actually had the coffee, the cold brew coffee thing we
Yeah,
had in there for the
it's
first
good.
time. It's really good.
Yeah, I had that this morning, which is why I didn't need more caffeine.
Yeah,
So
that's like surprisingly good.
yep. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. We appreciate you and have a great rest of the day. We will see you on the battleground of the gods. Bye-bye.